All right, everyone, I don't want to spend too much time this weekend wasting your time. You know where we stand on this market. We've been starting right over here. The sell signal started, then the neutral signals, and more sell signals, and neutral signals, back to sell signals. So you know the direction that we're operating in. And following Friday, our last six horsemen, five of them fell. Facebook, Twitter, which is now obviously a full sell, it hit my sell stops intraday on Friday. Which, by the way, I need to point out, if you have any longs on the books, you need to find sell stops, and I'll go through my remaining long positions really quick. But before we get there, Netflix, Tesla, all of these stocks failed the 50-day moving average. GoPro is still holding in, but barely, and Apple is still holding in, but barely. Now, getting back to the indexes, I want to show you the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq has now broken the 200-day moving average on well above average volume. Not good there. The New York Stock Exchange is now broken below those recent support levels in a confirmation move on well above average volume. It's very ugly. S&P 500, basically it's right on its 200-day moving average door on above average volume. And by the way, if you've been looking at the internal indicators, you can see that there is no rounding up whatsoever in the TSV MACD. The Russell 2000 still going below and low and low while it is extended on the downside. That's very bad and actually portends that any bounce will probably find resistance and will either chop around or head lower. But overall, there's some pretty ugly action. NASDAQ, as you can see, same thing. NASDAQ 100. I mean, look at the volume on the NASDAQ and NASDAQ 100 on Friday. Absolutely gigantic. Weekly too. Look at the MACD on the NASDAQ 100 and the NASDAQ. Not even anywhere near oversold. And so let's go ahead and then look also at these charts right here. By the way, this is our pump and dump voil that we've been watching. The first major crack, if at the end of the day it was 176, it's now at 156. With it now closing below the 50-day moving average, I would easily expect this to go back to the $1, possibly, potentially, I would think, below $1 a share. So voil is finally broken apart. There should be shares to short at Interactive Brokers still, but I don't know. You'd short it on a bounce intraday. This is one to watch intraday for a shorting position because it should continue to break down. So if you can day trade, this is the one to focus on. Centerpoint Securities has it. Not sure if SureTrader does. Interactive Brokers does. Bounces, failures, got to watch them. Also, Lake, we are watching intraday potential shorting opportunities. CMRX, APT, all of these. They could also rally higher, so we're watching for both ends, but these are going to be the ones we focus on intraday. We also want to show you the NASDAQ on the daily. You can see that it's starting to get a little oversold. I want to go ahead and expand this chart a little bit. You can see that this rollover is a little bit worse. I mean, this rollover was pretty bad here, but now that we're below the 200-day moving average. But what I want to show you on a weekly is that we're still not oversold on the NASDAQ. We're still not oversold on the NASDAQ 100, as you can see. The Russell 2000, we are, so this is a potential area to watch for support. S&P 500, also not oversold. Dow Jones Industrial Average, not oversold, so that was the big thing, is that we could still have a lot further to go to sell off, even though it does look like that we are oversold and are due for a bounce. And I can't explain. This looks really ugly, but you know, it was really fast. Volume was pretty bad, but it just, you know, this has a different feel to it. The wide ranges, the two fake out up days. You didn't see that on that last pullback in January. You didn't have those two big fake out up days. Now that you see that, I think that it's a little bit more violent and that we're not done. I know a lot of people think that we are. We could be. I'm keeping an open mind. It just seems that now with the VIX, I wonder if this one will work. With the VIX breaking out, oh, perfect, I have it drawn. Above this long downtrend line connecting those recent highs that we saw, I would say that this is more indicative of an overall market trend change and not bottom fear, especially whenever we have Investors Intelligence having bears at 1987 levels, and last week the American Association of Individual Investors actually had an increase of bulls, which shows that they are buying this dip. But one last thing before we go, I just wanted to show you with the personal longs, the stocks that we're still long in the two portfolios, where you should put your final cut losses. With FDX, you can do the 50-day moving average. This one, my hands are off. I'm going to let it go ahead and fail on its own. No sell stops are going to be set. But with OVAS, I would say, I mean, God, I still have a decent enough gain in there that I don't think I'd set one in here. FL, without a doubt, close below the 50-day, move below the 50-day moving average. Sell stop set there. Rent, once again, I'm not going to set a sell stop. I'll let Rent prove to me it's wrong. MNST, might as well. Don't want to see this thing turn into a loss, so I'm going to set a sell stop at break even. FDX, like I said, I mean, might as well, just in case. 200-day moving average. BDSI, 50-day moving average, sell stop. GMCR, break even. I don't want this thing to turn into a loss. AGIO, gosh, I want to say I want to, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and set sell stops at 58.54. I don't want it to see it reverse back into below that base. And then VIPS, it's going to be the 200-day moving average. In my opinion, this doesn't need a sell stop either. But some of the other ones that we fully sold out on that I got lucky on because of sell stops is SIMO, which is why I recommend them on all new long positions. But FL still, you know, it's hanging in there, but not by much. So if we have to sell it out, you want to make sure that you have a loss on the books, just like GMCR. So basically, it's our newest long positions that we need to worry about putting sell stops on. Okay, everyone, good luck this upcoming week. Aloha.